Welcome to lesson 5 of 4th grade, and we will be going over time. Write the time as shown on digital clock, or on a digital clock. 38 minutes after 6. Now, if you recall, a digital clock will look something like this. You'll have your two numbers here. These are zeros just for reference. And then we'll have this colon, and then two more values here. I'm just drawing these zeros like they're squares like you would see on a digital clock. So, first question, 38 minutes after 6 means 6:38, right? If you were to write or think of it as a time. And for that, you can write 6:38. Some, clocks might have like a 0 in front of it. Either way is fine. 16 minutes before 2 is actually 16 minus 60, because 60 would equal 1 hour. So if you were to think of it that way, 60 minus 16 would equal 44. So now what you do is, instead of 2, it would be 1 hour before, which is 1, and then that 44 minutes you just calculated. Let's just try one more. Let's just try 3. 19 minutes after 4. Again, we know that 4 here is the hour, and then we will do these dots. And then we know 19 minutes after, meaning adding on, so it is simply 4:19. Next up, find the elapsed time. So first, we're going to start at 9:30 a.m., then we're going to end at 4:50 p.m. Now, if you were, or in these scenarios, I like to first think about the hours, then look at the minutes. So if you go from 9 to 4, it will be 9 to 10, which is 1 hour, then to 11, then to 12, then to 1, then to 2, then to 3, and then to 4 p.m. If you were to count that in your head, that would give you 7 hours having passed. Next, then I look at the minutes, and we know that we went from 30 minutes to 50 minutes, and if you were to do that math in your head, you know 20 minutes would have passed, so that's what you would write. And this is your answer. Now let's try a slightly different type of problem, number 3. Here, I wouldn't recommend that first approach because we start with a bigger number in the minutes than when we end. So here, I'd actually rather start with the minutes first. So to go from 20 to 5 minutes, it would be kind of like 40 minutes passing first from 20, which will give you an hour, and then another 5 minutes will pass. So in total, 45 minutes has passed. So now keep that in mind. Now, let's count the hours. From 1 goes to 2, then goes to 3, then goes to 4, and so on. And when you're left with the final result, you will have 7 hours again. Or actually, you would have 8 hours, but we need to go down to 7 because these minutes account for that 1 extra hour that you calculated earlier with the amount of minutes. So you actually subtract 1 from the hours you would count normally from this first section, but remember we've done that math already in the minute section, so that just carries over nicely. Find the missing time. Now these types of questions are conversion questions, which is another way of saying kind of changing from a certain type of time to another type. So 5 weeks turns into a certain amount of days. Now we know that in 1 week there are 7 days. So if there are 5 weeks, that would mean it's 5 times 7, which equals 35. So you would find that it's 35 days. By the way, a dot is another way to represent times. Either way works. Now for number 2, we know that a century is 100 years. And since we have 8 of those, that would make 800 years, which is why there's 8 centuries. Decades is again 10 years. And if there's 3 times 10 years, you would have 30 years. For 2 years, we know that there's 12 months in every year. So 12 times 2 will give you 24 months. Again, to the weeks, there are 7 days in a week. 7 times 7 was 49. And we know that every decade has 10 years. So again, 7 of those will give you 70 years. Now on to word problems. Number 1. Jim says the elapsed time from 7:35 a.m. to 9:45 p.m. is 2 hours and 10 minutes. Describe his error and write the correct answer. So now, if you notice, I underlined AM and PM because it's easy to confuse these and think that both times are an AM or PM. So his mistake is he thought only 2 hours passed here because 7 plus 2 equals 9, but he's forgetting that this is AM in the morning to PM in the afternoon, or in the evening in this case. So actually, you would have to go past 9:45 a.m. So if you do that counting, it would be 7 to 8, which is 1 hour, right? Then 8 to 9, but you don't stop there. You go 9 to 10, to 11, to 12, then to 1, then to 2, all the way until 9 p.m. Now, if you were to do this math on your own, you would find out that that is 14 hours. Then you look at the minutes, and we know we go from 35 to 45 minutes, which is just a 10-minute difference. So you add that extra 10 minutes on there, and this is your answer. I'll just shorten this. Next, in a leap year, February has 29 days instead of 28. How long is it from February 24th to March 4th in a regular year and in a leap year? Now, in a regular year, February has 28 days, as stated in the text. And so all we need to do is count starting from February 24th until March 4th. So you would go from February 24th, 25th, 26th, 27th, 28. You do not go to 29, then you go to 1, 2, 3, and 4. Now, if you counted that in your head, that will give you 9 days that we just went. So that is your answer for a regular year. And now, you could count it again with February having 29 days for the leap year, but you could just think that there's just one more day in February. So all you really need to do is just add one more day to that value, or earlier value. This is a 9. And that gives you 10. So in a leap year, you would have 10 days. Or in that interval during a leap year. Lastly, today is October 19th. Janice has 3 weeks to train for the marathon. What is the date of the marathon? So now we first know that October always has 31 days. And we can also think that 3 weeks is equal to 21 days because 3 times 7 is 21. So now you can add 21 days to October 19th to get that final answer. So first, if you just add 19 plus 21, you are left with 40 days. However, you have to understand that there are 31 days in October. So from here, you need to subtract 31 to figure out how many days into November we're going to be, right? Because every month, you can't just say that there are 40, it's going to be October 40th. That doesn't exist. So we need to get rid of, starting at October 31st, which is the last day, to figure out the amount of days we spend in the next year, which is November. So that will be 9 days, meaning it'll be the 9th of November. This is your final answer down here.